Today, we're going to peel back the cover on a mystery that really blurs the line between ancient alchemy and, believe it or not, theoretical physics. We're diving into something called the Codex Alexandrinus and the secret periodic table it seems to be hiding. So, our story kicks off with this thing, a collection of documents known as the Codex Alexandrinus. At first glance, it looks like a catalog of elements, kind of like the periodic table we all had to memorize in school. But as you're about to see, what's inside goes way, way beyond simple chemistry. And really, that's what this whole thing is about. It makes you ask this one huge question. What if the fundamental building blocks of our universe, everything we think we know, are just one chapter in a much bigger, much stranger story? To really get what this artifact is, we first have to figure out its purpose. See, this isn't just a list of stuff. It's more like a guide to a completely different kind of science, one where the physical and, well, the metaphysical are basically the same thing. Luckily for us, the Codex has this introduction, this preface, called the Testamentum Architecti, which means the architect's testament. And this is basically our Rosetta Stone for understanding the incredible, kind of wild claims made in these pages. And here's the absolute core idea. The Testamentum doesn't see these elements as just matter. It calls them keys, these fundamental principles that unlock the very structure of reality. I mean, that's a pretty fascinating and profound idea, right? All right, so let's get to the elements themselves and see how this all builds. We're going to start with some familiar faces, things that actually exist in our world, but which the Codex, well, it sees them in a totally different light. So take mercurium, that's mercury, and gallium. To us, they're just metals with really low melting points. Cool, but simple. But in the Codex, oh, there's something way more. They're described as these primordial substances, these foundational keys to the very nature of matter itself. And get this, the motto for Mercury is especially telling, primum et ultimum Mercurius, the first and last Mercury. This suggests it has this cyclical, almost mystical role, like it's a substance that both begins and ends creation. Yeah, that's a far cry from your high school chemistry textbook. The Codex also talks about astatum, which we know as astatine, one of the rarest elements on the entire planet. But in this book, its rarity takes on this much more sinister meaning. It's literally described as a primordial spiritual toxin, like it's the fundamental force of decay itself. Okay, and if you thought that was weird, this is where things go completely off the rails. The Codex quickly blows past the elements we know and veers into a realm that just completely defies our current understanding of physics. We're talking super heavy elements with impossible properties. Just look at these three. Nihilium, that which lies beyond time and space. Adamantium, the hardest gem which light never reflects. And Alexandrium, a mirror of the universe. Our physicists are hunting for this theoretical island of stability where super heavy elements might exist for fractions of a second. The Codex, it presents elements that are eternal, because they're not just matter. Seriously, this is less like elements and more like poetry. Let's just focus on nihilium for a second. The text calls it the son of Thoth and chaos, and the end of matter which absorbs space. This just brilliantly shows that these aren't just theoretical substances, they're meant to be the physical manifestations of these huge, abstract cosmic concepts. But you know what? The Codex doesn't even stop at impossible matter. It keeps escalating, cataloging these elements that operate on a cosmic scale. They behave more like fundamental forces, or maybe even conscious principles of the universe. And that's where we meet the apex elements, the real heavy hitters. Prelumentium, the mother of matter, mysterium, which is described as the actual personification of chaos, and then draconium, the primordial serpent, the beginning and the end of absolutely everything. And just look at the entry for draconium. Just let that sink in for a moment. This isn't chemistry anymore. This is mythology being described through the language of physics. The Codex is essentially cataloging deities, defining them by their atomic properties and resonance structures. It's physics, but from a completely different reality. So, what is this incredible document? What's the point? Is it some kind of spell book, a lost scientific text? Well, it turns out the answer has been waiting for us right back where we started. Let's go back to the Architect's Testament one last time, because buried in the final lines of that introduction is the key to this entire thing. The answer was hiding in plain sight this whole time. And here it is, Codex Alexandrinus not est liber potentiae, memoriae realitats est. The Codex Alexandrinus is not a book of power. It is a memory of reality. And that single sentence, it changes absolutely everything. The implication here is just staggering. The Codex isn't a tool to change our reality. It's a chronicle of a different one. It kind of echoes ideas from our own theoretical physics, alternate universes with different physical laws, or the idea that reality itself is just information. The Codex is a record. It's a library of what a universe could be. It is quite literally a memory. Which, of course, leaves us with one final kind of haunting question. If this document really is a memory of a lost or an alternate reality, then who were its architects? And maybe more importantly, what fundamental truths about our own existence have we forgotten?